reduced to rubble, a former premier's home destroyed by fire. A candid conversation about crime on city streets, where Saskatoon's top cop says the problems lie. And transit troubles, why some university students are fuming over recent changes to routes.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a devastating fire for a former Saskatchewan premier. Lorne Calvert says he is thankful after he and members of his family safely escaped a fire at his home at Buffalo Pound Lake yesterday. Wayne Mantica reports.
Saskatchewan's former premier surveyed the smoldering rubble of the Calvert family home. Lorne Calvert is thankful that everyone got out safely.
We were home, yes, and through the kindness of someone driving by who could see the house on fire, who alerted us because we might not have noticed it immediately.
Calvert, his wife Betty, and two relatives were in the house at Buffalo Pound Lake when fire broke out mid-afternoon on Tuesday.
We're thankful that Betty and I, our brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and our dog were able to get out of the house. No life lost, no injury. We're very thankful about that. We're thankful for the kindness and the generosity of our neighbors who have immediately come to give us support. And I'm equally thankful for the volunteers who are part of our local fire departments.
The house was totally engulfed in flames when the Bethune Volunteer Fire Department arrived.
It spread very fast. In terms of the house itself and the garage, I think it was about 45 minutes from start of fire to the total destruction.
The home and all of its contents were destroyed. The cause of the blaze is unknown.
If we have to leave, we have to leave. I think of others on this globe who are engaged with conflicts that destroy their homes and leave them homeless. They don't have the luxury in many ways of good neighbors and friends. They're just left bereft. And we're so well supported by family and others.
The Calverts will be meeting with their insurance company to discuss their options. For now, they are staying at a neighbor's home. Wayne Mantica, CTV News at Buffalo Pound Lake.
The city of Saskatoon has recently made some changes to its bus routes, and some students are upset over what they feel is a struggle to access public transit. Hallie Mandrick has more.
Recent changes to Saskatoon transit routes have some university students feeling thrown under the bus.
Just overall making the trip for me to get here less efficient, and I think it's a step in the wrong direction. And I'd like to see it either reverted or another change made. In order just to, not leave anyone behind.
Zimmerman started a petition, which has already gained over 300 signatures, to have the city reevaluate changes made to bus routes 13 and 17. Recent changes to the routes University of Saskatchewan students are concerned leave out a handful of neighborhoods in the city's north end. And Zimmerman says many U of S students don't have a lot of alternative options.
Parking here, I think can be an absolute nightmare. They charge a lot for it. Reasonably so. There's a high demand, but that means alternative modes need to be available, and transit is far and away the most efficient one.
According to the city of Saskatoon, these particular routes were altered as part of a larger plan to increase the efficiency of buses in Saskatoon.
I can appreciate wait times are something that people are concerned with, and especially if there's going to be an increase in travel time for some individuals, that's not necessarily always ideal. But in general, a lot of these changes are about increasing the level of service throughout the city and providing options for people to have higher levels of frequency and an easier use of the system.
Mullenbeck added that while there are no immediate plans to change bus routes, the city is still open to feedback. While Zimmerman has been taking advantage of the warm weather by biking and skateboarding to school, he says there's a sense of anxiety for many as the winter months grow closer.
It's pretty common for us to get minus 30, and then you have the wind chill and all that kind of stuff. And I think I can speak for a lot of people where they would rather take a longer, less frequent bus route if it meant not having to make transfers and spend even 5 more minutes standing outside in the cold.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Now to Saskatoon City Hall, where the city's police chief had a candid conversation with council about community safety. Keenan Sorokon on where he says some of the problems lie and the increasing challenges being faced.
Saskatoon police are on track to see 175,000 calls for service by the end of the year, and there's a number of things tying up resources in an ever-changing environment.
What I see in Saskatoon is an increasing volume of people in crisis.
Chief Cam McBride says social disorder calls make up roughly 43% of all calls to police, and officers are using a balanced approach of interacting with people who are experiencing a mental health or drug crisis while also holding them accountable for their actions. But accountability is harder than it used to be. Instead of repeat offenders being prosecuted after racking up a number of charges like public intoxication or more serious crimes like McBride was used to from his frontline policing days, he says now the tickets are withdrawn if someone can't pay.
And so all of the intervention work that police tried to accomplish through holding them accountable, utilizing legislation, is for naught.
Last week, Prime Minister Mark Carney said he will propose legislation reforming bail provisions next month in aims of preventing criminals from being released soon after committing a crime.
That the individuals who participate in those crimes pay the price they should, with consecutive sentencing.
McBride says a number of people are choosing to live on the streets and shouldn't be automatically seen as a criminal. He also says there are a number of people who come to Saskatoon with nowhere else to go, only to find overburdened services unable to take them in.
Many of them are coming to Saskatoon and finding nothing. For sure, there are individuals who have come from northern communities this summer who came as a result of evacuations who haven't gone back.
Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatoon will be flying fewer flags outside of City Hall moving forward. A city committee approved changes this morning that would prevent other countries' flags from being flown at City Hall. The city has historically allowed groups to raise flags for nations when asked to do so. Moving forward, the city will require that groups making the request be from Saskatoon or have a clear connection to Saskatoon while also being a registered charity or nonprofit. The city says approvals, reviews, and logistics to raise national flags is taking more time each year.
Flying the flags of other countries makes the city susceptible to criticism arising from situations where a flag raising occurs while there is an armed conflict, political unrest, or human rights violations in that country.
The city will continue to use its 3 guest flagpoles. Well, Jeff, I think we should just enjoy the heat while it is lasting.
And it is going to last into next week, Chantel. We've got ourselves temperatures that are well above seasonal. Even next year when things start to cool off a bit, still going to be above seasonal. So there you go. Right now, some instability in the atmosphere. And so we do have some rain, some shower activity moving through Alberta, moving into Saskatchewan a little bit, not adding up to a lot, but still we will keep our eye on that. But generally, things are kind of quiet, and we'll talk about that later on, which is not quiet at all.
The Saskatchewan NDP plans to introduce legislation this fall intended to keep people more informed about what emergency health services are available, especially in rural areas. The proposed legislation would require formal notification to residents of any emergency room closures in the province, meant to help ensure people in emergency situations can get to proper medical care as quickly as possible. The Saskatchewan Health Authority does keep track of service disruptions on its website, but the opposition says there's room for improvement.
They don't need my private member's bill to fix this problem. They could actually do something today. They could develop an app. They could put it on SHA's website again, which they've stopped doing. They could fix this now. Our legislation is going to try and force them to do that.
The NDP says this bill has been shaped by feedback from rural residents unable to access emergency rooms in rural communities. Currently, the SHA lists various service disruptions in Wolseley, Kamsack, Lanigan, Wilkie, and Broadview. CTV asked the government for comment, but did not hear back before broadcast. A dangerous person alert was issued for the Big River Nation and surrounding areas this afternoon. The alert was sent out just after 4 o'clock this afternoon. RCMP said officers were responding to reports of a person who had a gun in the community. People were told to stay at a safe location and inside. They were also advised not to disclose the location of police officers in the community. The suspect was identified as Drayton McAdam. RCMP have arrested a man in relation to an ATV collision on the Pelican Lake First Nation. Spiritwood RCMP responded to a collision between an ATV and a vehicle in the community Saturday night. A 26-year-old man from Pelican Lake First Nation was declared dead at the scene, while the driver of the vehicle left the scene. Now, a 33-year-old man, also from the Pelican Lake First Nation, is charged with dangerous operation of a motor vehicle causing death, as well as failure to stop at the scene of an accident causing death. Some road work in Prince Albert is causing concern among residents. Jasmine Pelche with that story.
Prince Albert resident Clyde Land says he has been frustrated with what he calls the lack of communication from the city about the roadwork on his street.
The past week they haven't done anything at all. They took all their equipment out. I guess they were all through digging. They've got to put in new curbs and pave it. And then they said they would replace the trees.
A water main project began in mid-August on the 400 block of 12th Street West, and Land says he hasn't seen any progress on the project for the last week, even though the road in front of his house remains unpaved. With
it being closed and we couldn't use it, we had to use the back alley and come in through everything went through the back.
Wednesday afternoon, the city provided an update on the project, saying that Phase 1, the water main replacement, was completed a week early, and Phase 2 is now scheduled to begin September 17th. Phase 2 of the project will consist of the actual road construction and sidewalk and curb repairs. The city shared that the road reconstruction is projected to be completed by October 10th, but that the schedule is weather dependent. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
A local current affairs and entertainment publication is shutting down at the end of the month. Planet S magazine has announced it is closing after 23 years. The publication was known for its current affairs and entertainment articles, as well as its annual contest to crown the best of Saskatoon. People voted in several categories, including the best businesses, politicians, and best media. Planet S says their website is shutting down on September 30th. The publication and its counterpart in Regina, Prairie Dog, both attempted an ad revenue campaign earlier this summer. They needed 50 ad spots filled and only received 3. The outlets thanked their readers for their years of support. A well-known Saskatchewan artist has found a new medium for his renowned nature scenes that's providing a stepping stone to the next phase of his career. Carla Schenkrick has the story.
It's not perfectly smooth. There's imperfections in it.
Glenn Scrimshaw has been capturing nature scenes in his art for nearly 40 years. Then what started as a craft project for his grandkids became a rock-solid new medium for his art.
So I've been painting on rocks. And what a very interesting medium.
He started putting his creations on rocks in May and found that people were very interested in the new approach.
Rocks are not like paper. They don't absorb the paint. They're textured in different ways. Every rock is different, so I find it very, very challenging.
The finished rocks range in price.
It depends on the size and how complex they are.
Since all rocks are different, so is the art.
And there's some texture on the bottom. I can make it look like a bank full of snow, and I've been able to, I even surprise myself because some of them, I feel like I could almost step into them.
He doesn't just pick up a rock and start painting. It's a varied process to decide what he's going to create.
Sometimes it's 5 minutes, and this I've been looking at it for a month and a half.
With most of his art over the years, he's given a portion of proceeds to charity. And in this case, with the rocks, he chose Meewasin Valley Authority.
It's been amazing to work with him and to have him choose Meewasin as the charity of choice to receive the proceeds from his rock paintings. Instead of hanging something on the wall, you can have something sitting at your desk or part of your home decor. We also love how it's connecting people to nature.
And most of his works are nature scenes, true to his style, but this was the first one he sold, a deluxe cheeseburger. It went to a restaurateur who couldn't resist.
You can never stop learning. Every day I learn something new, and the rocks, I look at them differently, and there's ideas flying through me, and it's just so interesting and so invigorating.
Carla Schenkrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Still to come, a well-known conservative south of the border is shot dead. We'll have the latest. Also, what the Prime Minister has his sights set on. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. South of the border now, where a well-known conservative has died after being shot at an event at a Utah college. 31-year-old Charlie Kirk was the CEO and co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA. Kirk was attending an event at the Utah Valley University when he was shot. The suspect has been taken into custody. Kirk was a prominent right-wing activist and supporter of Donald Trump. Here's what officials had to say late this afternoon.
We do still have an active investigation for the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired and one victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual.
Kirk was taking questions for an audience member about mass shootings and gun violence moments before he was fatally shot. It was a scene of panic as people raced from the scene. The person of interest was taken into custody, but there is no word on charges yet. Police in Toronto say a child is dead and another is in serious condition after an SUV plowed into a daycare. It happened at 3 o'clock local time this afternoon. Police say 7 children between 1 and 3.5 years of age, as well as 3 adult staff members were struck, and that they've also made an arrest. Police say that the vehicle was in the parking lot at the time, and for reasons unknown, it drove through the window. A BC judge has ruled the man accused of killing 11 people during a Filipino festival in Vancouver is mentally fit to stand trial for murder. Adam Caigilo was facing 11 counts of second-degree murder for the April 26th ramming attack. The BC Prosecution Service has charged the suspect with an additional 31 counts of attempted murder, bringing the total number to 42. A publication ban prevents evidence from the fitness hearing from being reported, but that does not include the outcome. A report into the attack was released last week. It found that the event followed all required protocols, including an assessment that there was low risk for a major public safety incident. We learn more today about the big targets the Prime Minister is hoping to deliver, as questions remain about how Mark Carney will pay for the promises. He says the upcoming federal budget will focus on cutting spending with new investment in key areas. All this as Carney tries to distance himself from Justin Trudeau and bolster Western relations. CTV's Abigail Beeman has more from the Liberal retreat.
Politics is like hockey. It doesn't build character, it reveals it.
More than a few hockey references in the Prime Minister's speech to caucus about fall priorities delivered in his hometown. Mark Carney referenced a budget with tough decisions. There are big questions about how he'll pay for big investments while spending less and which Trudeau government commitments he'll keep.
This fall, we will release a new climate competitiveness strategy that focuses on results over objectives and investments over prohibitions. Third, we will remain relentlessly focused on bringing down costs for Canadians.
Backsliding on our commitments around climate, if you read values, it'll be a very odd thing for us to do.
Carney said the first major projects list will be announced tomorrow. Radio Canada is reporting no pipelines will be on it.
No one should take any lesson from the first list of projects that this is the end.
What the Liberals need to do in order to actually allow major projects to move forward is repeal C-69, repeal C-48, lift the production cap, remove the policies that they put in place that block these projects from moving forward.
Those signs point to a thawing of relations between Ottawa and Western Canada, strained in the Trudeau years.
I think there's even a thawing of tone in Danielle Smith, but she's still making a number of demands that frankly can't all be met.
The Prime Minister ends his day meeting with Premier Smith here in Alberta's capital. The pro-pipeline Premier has said she'll be pushing for action on what she calls 9 bad laws hurting the province's economy. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Edmonton.
Canada is promising to stand with Poland after a serious escalation in Eastern Europe. Russian drones shot down after entering Polish airspace. Poland is a key member of NATO, and its government is saying a line has been crossed. Russia has dramatically increased its deadly drone attacks on neighboring Ukraine in recent months. CTV's Michael Couture has more on the incident and the response.
Poland's prime minister said today his country is the closest it has been to open conflict since the Second World War. Residents of an eastern Poland village describe hearing the roar of a plane falling from the sky, and then a massive boom shook their home. The house was destroyed, he said. The remnants of a suspected Russian drone remain in his yard as Polish authorities search several other sites where drones were found. Moscow claims there were no plans to target Poland. Many of them were shot down with the help of NATO allies, and talks between member countries were quickly called under an Article 4 consultation. Prime Minister Donald Tusk praised the quick response of allies, but pointed out this changes the political situation. In a post on social media, U.S. President Donald Trump said, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." After a NATO meeting, the Secretary General said a full assessment of the incident is ongoing.
Allies expressed solidarity with Poland and denounced Russia's reckless behavior.
While rallying support for Poland in the European Parliament, Ursula von der Leyen told lawmakers the EU is now working on a 19th package of sanctions against Russia.
We're particularly looking at phasing out Russian fossil fuels faster. We're looking at the shadow fleet and at third countries.
Russia's defense ministry says it had not targeted Poland, but Prime Minister Tusk says there were 19 breaches of Polish airspace. And Canada's defense minister is casting doubt on the Kremlin's explanation.
I don't think we can take a lot of what comes from Russia right now at face value.
McGuinty wouldn't say if Canada will deploy more resources to the region, but Germany's foreign minister said NATO stands united and there must be a response to Russia's actions. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Winnipeg museum has returned 19 artifacts to a First Nation in Saskatchewan. The repatriation to the Piapot First Nation is the largest in the Manitoba Museum's history. The artifacts include ceremonial pipes, a drum, an eagle fan, medicine pouches, as well as gifts the chief gave as thanks to the minister who conducted his daughter's marriage ceremony. As a thank you, the First Nation invited museum representatives to attend a repatriation ceremony. The museum says it's an important institutional responsibility.
We are really honored to do this work, and we were really honored to be invited out to the celebration. It is a proud moment for museums to really take stock of what we're doing here and to really look at what speaks to our collections and what belongings really do rightfully need to go home.
The museum's repatriation policy began in 2007 following the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action and the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Well, Jeff, hot was definitely the word of the day, and warm will be the words going forward.
Well, I think we can even say hot for a couple more days, but then, yeah, warm. But ultimately, some roasty, toasty temperatures out there across the province, and certainly right here in Saskatoon. Record-breaking? Maybe. Let's take a look and see. We'll start off with our current temperatures. And 28 degrees right now in Saskatoon, 26 in Prince Albert, 25 in the Battleford. As you can see, cloudy or mainly cloudy conditions and not particularly windy. A southerly flow right now. And let's talk about those records. Ooh, it's a tie. So today we hit 30.8, and that was the record set back in 2011. So not an old record by any stretch of the imagination. But look at this. Typically, we should be around 19 degrees for this time of year. And then the sun came up at 6:33, and it's going to go down at 7:34.
Coming up, a superhero affair who spent part of the day scaling a Saskatchewan hospital.
All right, let's take a look. Oh, my gosh, it's the return of the wasps. Are they wasps, or are they part of an invading army from outer space? Well, you be the judge. So, yes, we've got some buzzing around the lens of Skycam here, but look at this. Yeah, what's that? fall colors. I know. We'll hold on to summer with these hot temperatures because technically it's still summer. So let's take a look at our satellite and radar shot here. A lot of active weather from Northern California across some of the mountain states into the Intermountain West and up through the Panhandle into Alberta and Saskatchewan. So we're going to keep our eye on that. But generally speaking, things are relatively quiet, not so dangerous, a little unsettled here and there, but warm and hot is going to be the big deal of the day as we make our way into the next couple of days at least. Saskatoon 28 right now, 26 in Prince Albert, and 25 in the Battlefords. As we take a look at the almanac, look at that, or rather the extreme temperatures. Saskatoon, the hot spot. We might even be the national hot spot, but we won't know until the numbers come in from BC. But Coronach, the cold spot today, just 5 degrees. So 27 degrees right now in Lloydminster. The same for Swift Current and Regina, 28 in Moose Jaw, 26 in Yorkton and Estevan. Into the central part of our province in the northern grain belt and those areas, temperatures ranging from 23 degrees in Waskesiu up to 28 in a few communities right now, but generally speaking, well above seasonal in that respect. 18 degrees in Collins Bay right now, 21 in Stony Rapids, 26 in La Ronge, so some warm temperatures in northern Saskatchewan, and down south, 21 in Assiniboia, but it does get as warm as 28 degrees in both Elbow and Weyburn. Most locations in and around that 26-degree mark. So let's make our way into our Futurecast. As you can see, the wind speeds, not so much the speeds, but if we watch those pressure lines, they get relatively close together, but we're not expecting strong winds. On to the north for tomorrow, mix of sky condition, temperatures in the low to mid-20s, so above seasonal for northern Saskatchewan. And that's certainly the case for west central areas where temperatures will be around 26 or 27 degrees, a bit more sunshine for Meadow Lake than in other areas. Many cloudy skies for the southwest with temperatures, again, around 26 or 27 degrees. Slightly warmer in the southeast, expecting highs of 29 in Regina and Moose Jaw, and temperatures of around 27 or 28 in east central Saskatchewan under mainly cloudy skies. For the Battlefords overnight, a slight chance of showers. We saw that on the radar there. 10 degrees, 27 with mainly cloudy conditions for tomorrow, ends 26 on Friday. Saturday, even chance of some showers, and then temperatures, tapering off a little bit, but 22 degrees Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is still above seasonal. Partly cloudy skies for Prince Albert overnight, an overnight temperature of 10 degrees, warming up to 26 big degrees for Thursday. And then we've got ourselves 26 again on Friday. Saturday and Sunday and Monday, a little unsettled. Temperatures cooling off as well. Chance of some thunderstorms on Saturday. And then as we take a look at Saskatoon, 12 degrees with a slight chance of showers tonight with clearing skies, winds out of the south, and then the winds shift around a little bit tomorrow and a bit more cloud shows up, 26 degrees. And here is the 7-day forecast, 24 degrees on Friday, Saturday, 24 again, but it comes with a 40% chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm, then back into mainly cloudy conditions for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And as you can see, temperatures in the low 20s, basically around 22 or 23 degrees for those 4 days. So all in all, a pretty warm forecast.
Let's do this, baby. Careful. This is history.
Exciting news for fans of The Amazing Race Canada ahead of next week's Season 11 finale. CTV has confirmed Season 12 will be going ahead next year. Casting details have yet to be announced, but you can expect another group of Canadians to take to the land, air, and sea in another country-spanning epic adventure in 2026. The announcement comes ahead of Season 11 finale, which we mentioned will air on Tuesday night here on CTV, CTV.ca, the CTV app, and streaming on Crave the following day. Harry Potter, a Forbidden Forest experience is scheduled to open in November in Vancouver's Stanley Park. The outdoor event promises a walkthrough of an enchanted forest inspired by the magical universe created by author Rowling, J.K. Rowling. That wasn't in my script. I forgot what our initials were there. But some city councillors say the park board should withdraw its support, arguing the author's views on trans rights are at odds with the city's commitment to inclusion. Rowling has repeatedly denied her views are transphobic, but has made statements opposing the legal right for individuals to self-identify their gender. The Harry Potter exhibit has so far been in 11 cities worldwide and has attracted more than 2 million visitors. Crowds turned out in Prague for the launch of Dan Brown's new novel, The Secret of Secrets. Very secretive. Some fans waited all night in line. The first 100 people in the queue walked away with a signed copy. Brown's best known as the author of the Da Vinci Code. He set his latest book in Prague, creating some excitement in Czechia.
Well, speaking of excitement, we've been waiting for your pick of the day.
Well, we've got some nice ones. As per usual, we're going to start off with this one. And Francis Wolf sent this in. We don't have a description, so I don't know where this is, but it's a lovely shot, and it's got some nice mist going on there. So thank you, Francis, for sharing that image. Next one from Patty. Love this close-up. And Patty tells us, a busy little bee in its superhero cape, taken September 1st at Cypress Hills. That's a great close-up there. It looks like a marigold is what that looks like that bee is on top of. And finally, from Sharon, harvest in Meota with Gil and Susan Cadron, and what an amazing shot that is with the lighting going on, and of course some of the lights provided by Mother Nature. That is just stunning. So thank you, Sharon, for sharing that. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, what the riders have their sights set on. But up next, the hospital heroes who made the day of a group of youngsters. Welcome back now to an ongoing story. We can tell you now that RCMP have canceled the dangerous person alert that was issued earlier today for the Big River First Nation. A little before 6:30, RCMP arrested Drayton McAdam on the Big River First Nation. RCMP do not believe there is any risk to public safety, but if that changes, the public will be notified. Some superheroes spent part of the day scaling a Saskatchewan hospital. It was all in an effort to cheer up some youngsters and raise money for their care. Damien Smith brings us the story.
I was doing like cards and rock, paper, scissors.
It was an exciting day for the patients in the pediatric unit at the Regina General Hospital as 5 superheroes rappelled their way down the windows outside of their playroom. It all started when 5 members of the Regina Police SWAT team wanted to brighten the days of children on the ward.
We're all fathers on this team. We all have children. I have 3 myself. And so children, they're just a special part of our lives. We all know someone and have had kids that are sick and been in hospital for a significant amount of time, and we know the strain that puts on families and the children themselves.
Shortly before the descent, the superheroes went inside to greet the kids, to give high fives, hugs, and gifts.
Met the superheroes, and they love me so much, and they gave me this necklace.
Some overreacted in some fear, I'm not going to lie. There's some scared ones, but all in all, they're very happy to see us. Lots of high fives, some hugs, and they're just genuinely curious about all the things that we're wearing.
The event raised over $15,000 for pediatric programs, proving that even though not all heroes wear capes, some of them do.
The big thing about a hospital is that we're using the equipment that we have 24/7, day in, day out. So stuff wears out on us really quickly, and it's just everything's expensive, right? Even when you look at the monitors, which you might be looking at 15 grand for a single monitor that goes from room to room.
All parties involved believe that they think that this can become a yearly tradition at the Regina General Hospital. Damien Smith, CTV News, Regina.
When we come back, the riders look for more than just a great season. And later, the stretch of strudel that is one for the record books.
Welcome back. Time to take a look at our rural forecast for tomorrow. So north and south of the Yellowhead, as you can see, not a lot of variation in the temperatures here. Basically 26, 27 degrees, a little bit of 28 action going on there. But really, the only variation seems to be in the sky conditions. Some places getting a bit more sunshine. But generally speaking, we're talking about a circumstance where places are dealing with partly or mainly cloudy skies. As you can see, look at that. Melfort, Hudson Bay, watch us getting up to 28 tomorrow. As we make our way down south, temperatures don't jump up big time. They jump up a little bit, certainly in Assiniboia, where we're anticipating 29 degrees tomorrow, Lumsden 30. But East End, Cypress Hills area, 25 degrees, 27 in Rockglen and Coronach, 28. So as we get closer to the border, 27s. So generally speaking, temperatures are going to be hanging around that. 26 and 27-degree mark, and that's certainly the case for Herbert down around the Swift Current area there. And the winds out of the northeast of 15, so generally speaking, another pleasant day, it looks like, in much of Saskatchewan. And Herbert is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
Welcome to another edition of X's and O's with Wes Cates. And Wes, the Saskatchewan Roughriders with a record of 10-2, a win this week and a loss by the Edmonton Elks, and they will clinch a playoff spot. And then if the Winnipeg loses as well, then they clinch a home playoff game already. So, man, this is early for this to happen, but there's a chance it could happen. They face an Alouettes team that has been on a huge losing streak, but there's some talk that this may be a trap game, considering they've had some coming off back-to-back Winnipeg games that have a lot of emotion. As a former player, are trap games anything in your mind?
I mean, as a player, I'd say no, but like if you're being real about it, obviously there's going to be ebbs and flows in a season, right? There's going to be dips. There's going to be emotional highs, as you mentioned too, with the Labor Day turn and Banjo Bowl, and then there's going to be lows where you're kind of in the middle of the season. You think you have an opponent that's, you know, struggling, and maybe you can just kind of go through the motions that week and come out and still get the victory. And it's not that type of league, Lee. It's definitely is one of those where you really have to go in, you have to keep game planning, you have to see what the other team's vulnerabilities are and try to attack them, and you got to try to clean up some of your mistakes. So I think as long as the Riders go through this week prepping and trying to look at the film and be honest about where they're at and trying to clean up some of the mistakes, they'll be fine. Now, if they go in thinking, oh, the quarterback situation, you know, Davis Alexander still isn't back, McLeod Bethel Thompson played really bad against this Riders team the first time they played in Montreal. So obviously there's a lot of reasons to think you got this one in the bag, but the key is to just stick with the process, keep doing what you're doing, working hard at practice, and you should come out with a W. But if you think it's going to be an easy one, that's when you do get trapped and give up one that you're not supposed to. So let's hope that they're focused and just taking it as any other week.
Now let's talk about McLeod Bethel Thompson. He's now off the 6-game injured list. You're not going to see Davis Alexander, which is the Alouettes' best chance. They win when he plays. I don't think he's lost a game as a starter right now for Montreal. But is the key up front just a lot of pressure on him? Because they were able to get through that offensive line and put a lot of pressure on him in that game in Montreal.
Yeah, I think you might be on to something, Lee. I don't think it's necessarily a lot of pressure on him, but definitely like what we did with Caleros. It was kind of like timely blitzes, you know, maybe blitzing from depth, something that, you know, a veteran quarterback. I mean, obviously, McLeod Bethel Thompson's 37. He's been in the league. So he's had some good games. So obviously, he's not going to be easily fooled. So I think you try to fool him with some delayed blitzes, some things like that, and just sit back and play the style that you normally play, but look at your opportunities and try to get them into, you know, second and longs and things like that with some timely blitzes on first down. But I think this Riders defense has been playing some great football. They're playing really confident. Obviously, Malik Carney and the rest of the defensive line has been attacking. So you really can send forward and expect to get some decent pressure, hopefully. So I think they're going to kind of stick to that scheme. But at the same time, Coach Mason's done a great job of really some timely blitzes that have really got home and really disrupted the offense, the opposing offenses.
Offense had a rough game in Winnipeg, even though they got a victory. Do you see this as a bounce-back game? I know a guy like Dante Myers had a fantastic game against Montreal earlier this year.
Potentially, but I feel like this Rider team understands that kind of the strength is the defense and just really just taking care of the ball on offense. Don't give Montreal short field. You know, obviously maybe take some shots. You have some guys, you know, Neal and Robustelli. Those guys have kind of come up with some big plays down the field at times. So maybe you take some shots, and obviously Keyshawn Johnson, just keep him rolling as your possession receiver and kind of keep things going as usual and get that ground game going. Try to get AJ 100 and see if you can maybe get Anderson in there for a few touches just to keep honing him in and getting him some experience. So I think it's just keep things simple on offense. Don't turn the ball over. Rely on your defense to maybe get some turnovers, give you a short field, then take some shots in the right situations.
Yeah, this offense has stayed healthy recently, so that chemistry continues to click. Will it click enough to secure a playoff spot if Edmonton can lose? We'll find out on another edition of X's and O's.
Well, after sweeping the season series with Winnipeg and clinching a home playoff game within reach, the Riders have the best odds to win the Grey Cup. But while the excitement is ramping up among fans, the team is staying even, especially with a hungry Alouettes squad coming to town this weekend. Jacob Carr with that.
Saskatchewan from the to break a tie on this one up. Ouellette, 3, 2, 1, touchdown Saskatchewan Roughriders.
It may have been a celebration in Winnipeg as the Riders improved their win total to 10, but you will never hear the words satisfied or content uttered by anyone in the Riders organization. Not yet, at least.
If I would tell you that, on our goal sheet was to win 10 games, I'd be lying to you. So it's great that we're where we are right now, but that only means that we've given ourselves the right to be 10-2 right now and be in a position where we have this small lead in the West.
Head coach Corey Mace knows a thing or two about reaching the ultimate goal in the CFL, having coached the Toronto Argonauts to a Grey Cup win as the defensive coordinator in 2022. He says part of having championship DNA is not getting too high when the going is good and focusing on one game at a time.
I think for any team, it's important. It's just for us. It's just how we said that we're going to go about our business. It's just hard to win games in this league. And what is it, September 9th? I mean, come on, we got the Alouettes.
And for the Riders and their offensive unit, the next challenge is a stingy Montreal Alouettes defense that will be coming to Mosaic Stadium looking to spoil the team's good vibes.
They play a lot of different looks. They have a lot of different people playing a lot of different areas, and we have to be able to locate where everybody is and do our job that we're supposed to do.
The Riders head into this game with some question marks in the defensive secondary as cornerbacks Tavon Campbell and Marcus Sales have yet to participate in practice this week. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon just over $1.38 a litre. That is down. The lowest price in town, $1.29.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $110.22 and Nutrien was up $1.41. Coming up, new proof there was once life on Mars. Then the pastry that's passing world records.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Just wondering.
We'll find out later. First, we gotta tell you about some new findings by the NASA rover Perseverance that are providing the strongest hints ever that Mars once harbored life. Ooh. Scientists believe that a rock sample collected from a dry river channel last summer contains potential signs of ancient microscopic life. The rock is believed to have formed 1 billion years ago. The minerals spotted in the sample also can form through non-biological processes. Scientists stress that in-depth analysis is needed before reaching any conclusions.
Too late. I've jumped to conclusions.
You never.
Not me.
Not at all. All right, I think you're going to like this. You're going to like looking at it anyway. A Croatian village has made the record books with a massive chain of strudels. Their line of strudels is more than 3 kilometers long. The total was achieved with 8,940 strudels, which all secures them a Guinness World Record title.
A chain of strudels?
You're going to make another joke? I don't want to hear it. Do I want to hear it? No.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, forget it. You already stepped
Work it into your weather.
No, they say there's just a chain of strudels. It's going to be a Motown joke, Queen of Soul joke, but thanks to you, we won't do that.
You can do it anyway.
Too late. Moving on. I can tell you what the weather's going to be tomorrow.
Shane's laughing.
Well,
with you, I'm sure.
No, laughing at me, not with me. 17 at 9 a.m., 22 by 12 noon. Mid-afternoon, about 26, 25 at 5 o'clock.
You going to be okay?
Yeah, I'll be okay.
It's fine. Thanks for watching.